right. Welcome back to your favorite comedy finance channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. So, oh man, it's been a big day. It has been a big day. Let me see if I can fix this just a little bit real quick. So guys, I hope you have been enjoying OddApp. You know, it has been an awesome couple days, you know. You'll notice that it's performing a lot faster. You'll also notice that the scrolling has been elongated. There's a lot of awesome things that we're going to be implementing. And one day, okay, and very soon, one day, you're going to be watching our videos directly on OddApp. So imagine the day where you're going to be able to watch a live stream from MYC directly off of the app. So we're going to be putting YouTube away eventually. So I just want to thank a lot of you guys that have been supporting me and supporting MYC Network as a community as well. You know, if it wasn't for you guys, we would have never been able to make it this far. And, you know, I appreciate you guys. My family appreciates you guys. And, you know, again, you know, if it wasn't for you guys supporting our movement, supporting our services and our products, you know, we would have not been able to make it this far. And it just comes to show that, you know, because we have produced such great products and such great services, it's produced the demand for you guys to be with me on this app. I'm happy we're on Apple Store. We're on Google Store. If you have an Android, if you have an Apple device or a tablet, MYC Network's OddApp is available right now. It's $23 a month. If for full access, you're going to be able to see private videos that we're going to live stream. It's by link only. I'm still going to do public videos, guys, but I'm going to be putting a lot more emphasis on OddApp because I want to continue developing this app. And I do ask you guys to support it so that way we can continue building it and keep building it into a greater product with more features on it. And one day I want to make sure that we could get content creators just like me and people with our culture, with our calling, with our movement, and the way we talk, the way we are, and our lifestyle all on OddApp. So that way we could start, you know, because think about it, guys, you know, content creators or, you know, me as a content creator, I started as a content creator and slowly, somehow, some way, I somehow found a way into just being here for the tech. I don't know how it happened, but, you know, here I am. I'm here for the tech, unfortunately. But, you know, I do want you guys to know that, you know, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate your support and things of that nature. And, you know, let's continue building it and let's keep building this app into something where we could provide the opportunity for other content creators with, you know, for people just like us. So that's going to be my main goal now, to continue building it out, keep adding these features. You know, I know you guys have been enjoying the GIFs and the communications and stuff like that. We're going to keep sharpening it. You'll notice that the performance has been enhancing every single day. I expect this to be very, very razor sharp within the next 48 hours. So I do appreciate you guys, all the activity that you guys are doing on the app as well, because it's allowing me to see what we need. It's allowing me to see how much stress the app can handle and how much power I need and things of that nature. And I do love that we've been doing live voice conferences every day there. And it's going to be more and more, you know, interconnected like that. I want to do more voice chats with you guys. And, you know, I did want to announce to you, for those of you that are not familiar with our Twitter account or anything like that, it's MYC Network, or I'm sorry, you know, it's MYC_OddApp. You know, I'm going to have to get used to saying that. So it's MYC_odd_app. So MYC OddApp. Okay. So it's going to be there. I've been talking to Robert Mao. He's been talking to me about payment integration systems and how ArcBlock and TRX are very communicative, and that he will help me with certain aspects with that, with Blocklet and a lot of the other technologies. So, you know, I want to play with that soon. But, you know, right now my focus is, you know, when we produced the app, it was privacy plus security. And then once we got that nailed down, which we have since the app is now out, now I'm focused on functionality. And it's been improving every single day. And then after that, we're going to focus on features that I'm going to implement in there that'll be a little bit more fun. We still have the voting system in there, you know, and a variety of other privacy features, stuff like that. But one thing I do want to add to this, like I was telling you, was the fact that I want to make sure that we could add streaming to it. I want to make sure that I could make videos and upload it to that app eventually. So that's going to be a big thing for me, especially for content creators like us that get pushed away or hidden in the dark because of, you know, platforms like this or other platforms. So I do want to work on that for not only myself, but for a lot of our members and a lot of our other content creators that we work together with, and other entrepreneurs out there that are looking to grow with us. So I'm really happy that we are now on Apple Store and also Google Play Store. So, it's just unbelievable how much we've been able to accomplish, guys. And look how small we are. We didn't need 100K subscribers. We didn't need 1 million of this and all this other stuff that's, clearly fake on Twitter. I don't know if you guys noticed when Elon Musk did a live Twitter Spaces. He had, I think like 20 million or 200 million or something like that followers. And when he did a Twitter Spaces, did you guys notice that only 17K people showed up? Isn't that kind of weird? I wonder where all the users went, So I just kind of thought that was kind of silly. When you really pay attention to the crypto sector, or you're here as much as I am, you're going to realize that it's a lot smaller than you think it is. And it's only going to get bigger, but a lot of these numbers are fluffed, and I think the game is up. So, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, guys. Welcome back to your favorite comedy finance network. And let's get into it. I wanted to talk today about Japan, because a lot of people think that because Jerome Powell himself is raising interest rates, this automatically means that, the dollar is going to continuously go up no matter what. Well, there's a lot of opposing forces that are going to force this dollar down, and it's going to be Japan. And I'm going to, I've been talking about this for a year, and nobody's talked about it. And literally, like, I haven't seen anybody, One thing I always talk to my members about, I guess I'm going to say my subscribers now, for OddApp. But, one thing I talk to everybody about here at MYC is the fact that, nobody's talking about different asset classes. You cannot be an expert for crypto. You cannot be an expert in this industry and not understand other asset classes and how reactionary they are to other marketplaces. Crypto is not as decentralized as you think. And, you have to understand other aspects of these different markets that will affect one over the other. For instance, a simple one would be like, if the dollar is going down in value, that means gold is going up. If gold is going down in value, that means the dollar is going up. So, there's no such thing as a everything crash, because everything is counterintuitive. If a market is going down here, then chances are a market is going up, and it works kind of like a tater totter. Okay. So, we want to get this truth out there, because that's what education is for. Education is going to arm you with the data that you need to not only mitigate your risks, but also help you perform better in the markets. Does this mean that you're going to have zero risk? No, absolutely not. We could go to zero in the next 5 minutes, but at the end of the day, it's going to help you with your forecast, and it's going to help you understand what you're doing out there and understanding past the mainstream narrative of the nonsense we used to believe just 3 years ago. When I first got into this industry 3 years ago, a lot of people would sit there and they'd say stupid shit to me like, watch Bitcoin. Don't care about nothing. It's decentralized from the entire stock market. You got to watch Bitcoin. Keep watching Bitcoin. And I said, no, you should be watching the dollar. And they used to make fun of me. They say, oh, that guy with background in M&A finance, that guy's a fucking idiot. Who wants to listen to that guy about the dollar? Well, look at you now. All of you guys are talking about the DXY. So here we are again, educating the entire crypto sector. And I don't care if they don't want to admit it or not, but nobody was talking about the DXY until MYC. Now, likewise, no one's going to talk about Japan until they hear what I have to say about Japan, or they go back or they remember a lot of the things I talked about with Japan. Now, the mainstream media is constantly talking about how China is the number one threat to the U.S. But the number one threat to the U.S. are not only communist, but I just want to throw that out there for you. But, the real threat to the U.S. right now is not one of our, mainstream, it's not one of the MSM narratives. It's not the casual enemy that people talk about, and that they always say China this, China that, but it's not them. It's Japan. Japan has more power than any country right now holding U.S. dollar bonds. And before we go into why or what's going to happen, let's focus on these main points, okay? Just because rates are going up and just because the Fed's intention is to continuously raise rates, that does not mean that the dollar is going to, no matter what, go up. Because when something is going up, other things are going down. And when other things are going down, you might be pissing somebody off. And by pissing somebody off or pissing off somebody else or whatever, I mean these other countries, because the US dollar is the reserve currency. It's the baseline in which all assets are measured. So because it's the baseline in which all assets are measured, you have that straight line, okay? And the reserve currency, the US dollar, is a basket of other currencies that are tethered to it, okay? So if the dollar is going up, it's pushing down these other asset classes like the yen, like the ruble, like the yuan, the pound, the euro. Just a year ago, the people that were using euro or using Canadian dollars or using the pound, they had extreme buying power. In fact, they had an exchange rate between the USD and their currency. I think the euro was roughly, I haven't done it too long, but I believe it was about 120. I think it was about 120. Now all of them are about, I want to say roughly about the $1.05 range. They're a little bit lower now. But just a year ago, a lot of these currencies had better buying power. So that's why I like to tell people, I'm like, you have to know about these other FX markets to understand why or why you're buying these prices or why they're cheaper or any of those cases. Yes, a lot of people have taken profits, or yes, we're in a bear cycle, but your currency has a lot to do with the exchange rate in which what you pay for these assets. So for Americans, right now our dollar value is at roughly 103. You shouldn't get comfortable with this buying power, because there's a lot of things that are going to drain the life out of this dollar, okay? We were at recently at about 114, and now we're at 103. And we went up to about almost 105 today, which was really the resistance point prior until we broke underneath it. And now the next resistance point, I think, is like 102. And then from there, it's like 98 and it goes down, okay? But even with Jerome raising rates today or yesterday, whatever, it did a little spark up and then it went back down. But why is this happening? And the reason why it's happening is because a lot of these other countries are getting fed up, because the more the dollar goes up in value, the Fed's manipulating it to go up in value, clearly. It's hurting these other marketplaces and it's hurting these other countries. So when it's hurting these other countries, what's happening is their central banks are forced to alleviate themselves of their US bonds. So what's happening is these countries are saying, all right, US is kind of like, hurting us at this point. So we're going to have to dump these US bonds to liquidate them. So that way we could prop up our own currencies. So that's what a lot of these countries are doing. So let's look back at the biggest bondholders within the last year. Okay. And I want to put emphasis on just a year ago. Okay. Because just a year ago, China had $1.2 trillion in US bonds. Now they have roughly 960 billion in change or something like that. And Japan had $1.3 trillion in US bonds. Okay. Before I get into where Japan is at now, let's go back to what the bond market is. Okay. Because when you think about it, the bond market is debt. And, basically what you're trying to do is you're lending out your money, or you're putting it in, you're a bond investor. You're trying to get, roughly, I think the yield right now is like 3% and change or something like that. If inflation is about 8 to 10%, if not higher, it's a falling knife, because you're losing money on both your principal and your yield just for being a bond investor. Okay. So while everybody is thinking that the dollar is the safe haven, it's actually not. It's a big bull trap, because you're thinking that it's safe to go into the dollar. Meanwhile, a lot of these central banks around the world are dumping US bonds because they see not only an overvalued dollar to take yield on, but also because that yield is a lot greater than waiting for the time span percentage rate. So they're going to be dumping these bonds like they are now. And that's why we fell from 114 to 103. But not only that, okay, not only is it a bad deal, but also it's hurting their currencies. So because they're hurting their currencies, they dump the bonds and then they defend the peg of their currencies. Okay. And that's what's happening. Let's go to Japan. Japan had $1.3 trillion in US bonds. And right now they've been dumping at record pace all year. In fact, when I talked to Kathy Wood, she told me directly, and honestly, look, I had given her my forecast on Japan before. Okay. And she agreed with me, except she gave me another piece of data that I thought was interesting. She said that the resistance point between the yen and the US dollar exchange rate was roughly 147 to 150, okay, is when they were forced to dump. However, they're continuing to dump now. And I see why. It's because they know no matter what, the Fed keeps pumping up the dollar. So they're just going to continuously dump it because they have a tremendous amount. In fact, they own the most US debt than any other country out there. Okay. They went from 1.3 to 1.1 trillion dollars. So they have dumped $2 trillion worth of US bonds. Okay. When we first talked about this, and I talked about it a lot, I was always telling people, the mainstream narrative sits there and villainizes China, but it's our allies that are dumping the U.S. bond and hurting our USD. Now, are they doing this out of malice or something like that? No, absolutely not. I think they really like us and stuff and all that, but it's just a conflict of interest. If you're raising your currency to a higher value, and me being a bondholder, I'm losing money by holding the bond because the yield doesn't supersede the inflation rate, I should be dumping it. Oh, wait. Oh, the dollar is overvalued too. So I could dump it now and prop up my currency and save my own economy versus, letting my economy get crushed and I just hold the US bond. So clearly it's going to be a falling knife. And when the bond market collapses, and it has been, it's been collapsing all year, you have to think about it. The bond market value or the yield is a representation of confidence in the USD, okay? Or the USD value, or if you take a look at the USD index, it's really a reflection of confidence in the USD. The confidence in the USD just recently, as in 2 months ago, was 114, and now we're at 103. They raised the rate a little bit, but it still went down, okay? We're still back at 103. So what's happening? Well, the countries are fed up. The central banks are fed up. So they're going to continue doing this all year. What you do within the next 6 months of your life are going to determine what happens in the next 5 years. Okay. And you have to really understand that, there's a lot of things that let me take this back. So I always tell a lot of our people, it's always good to pay attention to geopolitics, but pay attention to different asset classes first. Because the different asset classes tell you what's going on before the news. And that's why I tell a lot of people, you cannot be a crypto expert or you cannot be a stock expert or any asset class expert by itself. You need to know all these different asset classes. You need to know about these currency exchange rates so that way you know what's going on. Because a lot of these countries that are losing value in their currencies are being forced to dump their US bonds to prop up their own currencies because they don't have a money printer. They have USD bonds, but they don't have a money printer. So the entire crypto sector right now, they're hoping to God that there's going to be a pivot by the Fed, and the Fed is never going to do a pivot consciously. They're never going to tell you they're going to pivot. They're never going to tell you, oh, we're going to do this or do that or whatever. And mind you, yes, we're slowing down interest rate hikes, and that's giving us an idea, but you have to understand that the Federal Reserve is the lender of last resort. So everything it does in regards to printing or pivoting, that's in response to an emergency. And what we're going through right now is an emerging currency crisis. Because when the bond market crashes and you lose full confidence in a currency, which is why these countries are dumping the bonds, you have a currency crisis. And when you have a currency crisis, you have an extreme devaluation in the dollar. Why is all this going on, right? So I tell you guys, pay attention to these asset classes because they're telling you what's coming first before the news. And what's funny about social engineering is a lot of the times you don't realize it, but when you watch the markets and you watch what they're doing and how they react, they tell you what's happening. And then the governments, it's almost like they make up a theatrical story as to why this is happening. Okay. And what's funny is, they were telling us this was going to happen even, when Trump was in office, because if you think about it, all the countries were nationalizing for a long time. For a lot of my day ones, I don't know if you remember this back in the day, but I brought up when Trump was in office and he was taking equity stakes in Kodak and 3M. And I said, the countries, or our country for that matter, is nationalizing. That's crazy. That's weird. Because why would we take a 1% equity stake in 3M or Kodak? So as soon as you saw that, you instantly knew that the country was nationalizing. And if the country is nationalizing, then typically global trade is going to go down. What happened? So after that, you started hearing the news say, oh, there's supply chain issues. The supply chains are getting cut off. Well, these countries are getting ready for war. When the countries are getting ready for war, they're going to cut off all supply chains and then revert to nationalism. But what's funny is the narrative and the social engineering is now starting to go the other way. Because when we were doing global trade and we needed globalism and everything was hunky-dory, they wanted us to forget about our God. They wanted us to forget about our culture. They wanted us to forget about everything and be completely cool with a bunch of bullshit around the country simply because we had different immigrants from different places that we needed to accept when it came to their culture. It was almost like we were being forced to assimilate into cultures that weren't even ours. Okay. And a lot of these platforms are just riddled with bots, man. I'm telling you, I see you guys commenting there. But, so look, right at that point, the country was nationalizing, and now all of a sudden they put on the national pedestal. We got Nick Fuentes, we got Kanye, we have all these different people now teaching you to love your country again. We have all these different people coming out in the forefront saying they don't want to be censored no more. And now all of a sudden it's cool to believe in your country. Now all of a sudden it's okay to be patriotic and care about your kingdom. Now we have to remember Jesus Christ now. So this is what kind of, I want to put out there because it pisses me off a lot because, we need to remember the turncoats. We need to remember the politicians, our friends, or our family that turncoated simply because it was popular to do so. The enemy works in so many different ways. And when the enemy works, he tells you, be like us and you'll succeed. Sacrifice your spirit and be like us and you'll succeed. And this is the biggest lie that's ever been told on this earth because we stood our ground. We stayed based. We stayed foundational. We stayed believing in what we wanted to believe in, no matter what the cost, no matter what the cost in revenue, no matter what the cost in loss of profits. We stayed true to our colors. Because back in the day, a lot of people used to tell me, oh, Dion, being a Comedy Finance Network, you being politically incorrect, it's never going to work. You're going to get censored. It's not going to work. This and that. And I said, no, fuck off. I'm going to be who I am. I'm not sacrificing anything of what I believe in for the sake of profit or for the sake of popularity. And God forbid, for the sake of acceptance. And here we are. We lasted and we fought the good fight. And here we are. We have produced the best products, the best services, the best community, tight-knit, loyalist. And now we even have our own Odd app out. Our own Odd app is available now on Apple and Google Play Store. Isn't that awesome, guys? Like, we're literally outperforming every person in this sector. I've heard of so many different heroes, and nobody's done anything like the way we're doing it. We started from ground level up. We're working with patriots from the ground level up, and we've produced products and services, and we've really have the best community out there. And I could be biased. Maybe because, I really love my community, I think they're the best. But to be honest with you, when I take a look at the results, historical calls, historical results, historical services, historical products, and I don't see anybody with anything on Google app stores. I don't see anybody with Apple or anything like that, So to be really honest with you guys, I just want to put this out in the forefront that we did it by ourselves. We did this by ourselves. And, I want everyone to remember a lot of the turncoats out there because a lot of those people sacrificed us. A lot of those people sacrificed us for the sake of political correctness. And they didn't want to give us a chance because we were unorthodox, And maybe that's your friends and your family, Maybe those are the people the most closest to you, okay? Maybe those are your business partners or whatever the case that shunned you because you believed in your country, because you believed in your kingdom, or because you believed in your God, But we should remember for the past 20 years, they have psychologically tried to teach people to give up all of those things for the sake of popularity. And we shouldn't remember those people because they were weak. A lot of those people were weak and they sacrificed us because the media told them to. And, we need to remember those things because it was us that remained strong. It was us that protected everything. We protected our spirit and we fought the good fight. And now, we have social engineering going on for people like us. Now, we have a lot of social engineering and we have a lot of programming right now going on to make people like us now the popular kids because all the liberal bullshit is going to zero. as you can see. It's going to zero. They wouldn't put Kanye and Nick Fuentes and all these other guys out in front if they weren't teaching you to love your country again. But why are they teaching you to love your country again? You know why? Because you're going to have to defend it now. You're going to have to defend it because we're nationalizing. They cut off all supply chains. American manufacturing is coming back. And I'm not saying that these are not good things. These are great things. This is what it should have always been. Okay. But we should not forget the turncoats. We should not forget the people that sacrificed our country, our beliefs, and our culture for all that bullshit. And that's all I'm trying to tell you guys, to remember that. Okay. Now going back into Japan, Japan did dump $2 trillion at this point. So again, let's repeat this because it's going to be important, because within the next 6 months, you're going to hear a lot. It's going to become mainstream news. Okay. And you remember where you heard it first. Okay. Because I used to talk about Japan all the time, that it was the true threat. Because what's going to happen is Japan's going to continue and excessively continue to dump US bonds, and it's going to drive a knife right through the dollar. And it's not going to be China. Okay. It might, well, to be honest with you, it could be a combination of different countries. I was talking to the guys in ODAP today, actually, about how I feel like the US is reminiscent to Rome and Caesar. Because when Caesar was murdered, it was by his allies. Caesar was murdered by, a bunch of other people that were around him that were his officers and things of that nature. And what I see right now is, the U.S. is somewhat overpowered or, becoming scared to the point where it's trying to tighten monetary policy to hurt other countries. It's hurting us too, but it's trying to strong arm other countries. And these other countries are getting fed up and they're dumping their U.S. bonds at alarming rates. And, they might be doing it they are doing it at the same time, but we have an ally that, Japan has it used to have 1.3 trillion. Now it has 1.1 trillion. You don't think they're going to dump more? A strong dollar is actually bad for the entire global economy. And, this is kind of why the IMF talks about a level playing field. The IMF talks about a level playing field because, all countries have different currency values. And the USD is the baseline in which those values are made. So you have the USD is the main baseline currency. And then you have, the yen, the yuan, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and then you have the euro, the pound, and all that stuff. And as this is going up, it's disturbing these other marketplaces. If it goes down, it's disturbing these other marketplaces. But if it continues to go up, it's hurting everybody. And what these countries are doing is they're dumping those bonds in order to lower that value, the dollar, and eventually they're going to do it enough till a dollar fracture happens, okay? And the only way for a dollar fracture to happen is a bond market crisis. If you guys were watching the last Fed, the last Fed conference meeting, you'll notice that Jerome brought up 1994. Isn't that kind of funny that he brought up 1994? Where have we heard that from, Jerome might be watching us, but he did bring up a 1994 bond market crisis. And at that time, we had a bond market crisis, which led to an extreme currency devaluation over a course of a year, 2 years. Okay. When you had a bond market crisis, we went into a currency crisis, and the dollar actually fell, I think, to about 75 cents or something like that. It was like 75 cents or 80 cents at that time. And Jerome Bowles made the example that what we're living in right now is similar to 1994, which gives you the idea and the perspective that I've been talking to you about in this video as to why the dollar is about to crash. Now, when a dollar crashes, that doesn't mean it's going to zero. That just means it's going to be, I would say it's going to take a decline by 30 to 40%. And 30-40% at the let's say I always said 40% from ATH. ATH was 114. If we had a 40% decline from there, which would be a dollar crash, I think it ends up at about 75 cents. Okay. And the last time we were at 75 cents, it's kind of funny. That was in 2008 when we had a 2008 financial crisis, which is what we're going through right now. They just haven't told you yet. We went down to about 75 cents. So literally we're in that emergency again, and it's going to happen within I feel the next 6 months. And when that does happen, you're going to see a fracture. And like I've been telling a lot of people here, you're waiting for the news that the Fed is going to pivot, but they're not going to pivot unless emergency happens. So the Fed is the last lender of resort. So what's going to end up happening is they're going to see that dollar fracture. And when the dollar fractures, they're going to need to print their way out of it. So when the dollar goes down in value, the printing press goes on, and then they need to buy the dollar back up to higher levels. But in between that time, people are going to make a lot of money because the dollar is going to be at an extreme devaluation. Okay. But the only people that are going to make really good money when this is all happening are people that were holding assets. Now, the people that are holding assets right now bought those assets at the highest valuation in USD. The people that were buying assets from 114 USD to 110, 103, 100, 95 cents, those are going to be the people that are going to reap the most reward from a strong dollar buying power. Okay. So as the dollar is going down from these moments, within the next year, it's going to happen, assets are going to start to rise in increments. A lot of people think, and I always tell people this too. If I called something or if I talked about a really nice company or something like that, keep in mind, this is not financial advice. You make your own bets. Okay. I'm not a financial advisor. You do you. But for the people that buy with stronger buying power now or during these times, you guys are going to be the most beneficial, because I tell people this all the time. If we talked about a pick in the bear market, that doesn't mean because it hasn't shot up to the moon that it's a failure. Okay. All these picks are still in play. They're at all-time lows right now. Okay. We've been talking about BLZ. We've talked about PRQ. We've talked about Solo. We have some members talking about Core. We've had people talking about Jasmine, Koval, QSP. You guys drop some in the top chat if you want. There's a lot of picks out there that are really good picks. And, the thing is like you have a strong buying power right now, and don't get comfortable with the buying power that you have right now, because it's not going to last. There will be a fracture in this USD based on what's going on in the monetary system. And it's based on that due to the fact that a lot of these central banks are needing to dump their dollars in order to prop up their currencies under the weight of the dollar. Okay. So when the dollar is going up and interest rates are going up, that does not mean that the dollar is going to permanently continue to go up. Because if you study 1994 bond market crisis, you'll notice that they were trying to tame inflation. And when they were trying to tame inflation, a lot of these countries were dumping their bonds because of the overvalued dollar, which actually resulted in the bond market crashing, which led to a currency devaluation, which put the dollar at very low rates at about 75 cents. Now, when this was all happening, as the dollar was being bought back up and stuff like that, a lot of these assets appreciated in value because it took more dollars in order to buy those assets. So when you guys are buying assets, whether it's buying stocks, crypto, property, you name it out there, gold, silver, platinum, you are hedging your value in those assets right now. You're hedging your value in those assets. And what you really want to be waiting for is the devaluation in the USD, because you're buying a lot more asset right now for less dollars. When the dollar fractures, it's going to take more dollars to purchase those assets. And that's going to be called your profit margin. So when you're taking a look at the debt system, what actually helps countries get out of debt, or what's going to help you get out of debt, is the fact that you're hedging your wealth and assets when the dollar is high or when your currency is high, and you're selling those assets for currency back, but you're going to do that when the assets go up in price. Now, typically from a display, from a user display, you're only going to look at the value of the asset. You're going to say, well, my coin is worth $1 today. Okay. You're going to just only be looking at that from a user face. But, what's really happening is when the dollar gets fractured, it's going to take $2 to buy that asset when the dollar crashes, and that's a profit margin. So, I understand that profits or, a bear market and a bull cycle is based off of more buying activity or more selling activity and all that stuff. But a big contributor to those asset prices is the dollar value going up or going down, because it affects everyone's currencies. Anybody, a lot of our international members that are from Australia or they're from Canada, anyone that was using the pound or the euro, stuff like that. A year ago, they were buying a lot more asset, for less money. Well, this year, or for the past few months, they've actually been spending more money to buy assets because their values started depreciating. If you didn't realize, the euro and the pound crashed about 10, 20 cents just 6 months ago. So, you have to realize that's going to take an impact on your prices, and that's going to impact your profit margins and things of that nature. Now, granted, we're in a bear market, so, you have better buying power, and, let's forget about all the noise with Binance and FTX and all this other dumb shit, that doesn't matter. Okay. Because the narrative is always going to be a narrative. It's always going to be some made up excuse as to why this happened and this, and that. But if you really take a look at the markets are what the markets are. Okay. If the dollar is going up in value, right? If the dollar is going up in value, that means that the majority of liquidity is going back into the dollar. That's the safe haven. Okay. As the dollar drains, that means that the liquidity is going back into assets. It's the same shit. And they're going to make up a story as to why this is happening or this, and that. But at the end of the day, the asset classes tell you the news first. And a lot of people sit there and and I always say this, I say this all the time. MYC before the news, every time. Before the news, every time. And the reason why, and I guess I'm giving you my secret here, but the reason why my forecast, and granted, guys, look, they're not 100% accurate. Of course, whenever you're an economist or you're doing financial analytics or you're doing a financial forecast, it's always based or predicated off of a educated guess. Okay. And that educated guess is a variety of different data you take in and you make your forecast. Now, granted, we've been 100% correct this year. I said from the very beginning that Japan was going to be the biggest issue, and it has been the biggest issue. They dumped more than all the countries that have been here. They've dumped, I'm going to say this again. Japan has dumped more bonds than any country in the world. They dumped $2 trillion worth of US bonds this year. All this year. Okay. All this year. Nobody's talking about it because we're too busy focused on FTX. We're too busy focused on China and all the mainstream narrative and stuff like that. But you guys are missing the fucking boat, because just because the rates are going up does not mean that the dollar is going to permanently go up and squash asset prices. Okay. It does have a fact where it's going to squash asset prices, but it's not going to continue going up when you have all these central banks that have a USD bond that the yield at 3% and change does not pay for the principal or the interest yield. Okay. So their principal and their yield is going down in value being a bondholder. Okay. So they're going to dump. Let's take a look at another example. Why else are they dumping? They're dumping because the US dollar going up in value is disturbing their marketplaces and their economy. So their currencies are going down. So because their currencies are going down, they have to dump US dollar bonds to prop up their currency. Okay. So you guys got to pay attention to a lot of these different aspects of the markets in order to understand what you're doing, but also understand how to make a forecast and to understand where you are in the market. A lot of people say silly things to me like, oh, Dion, how come BLZ hasn't went to the moon yet? Well, to be honest with you, BLZ outperformed Cosmos. BLZ had 4 2Xs and 2 3Xs this year. However, even though it's a good company and stuff like that, it can't go to the moon yet because we're still in a bear cycle. It's still an active play, just like ABT. It's an active play. ETH, active play. A lot of these are still active plays because we're still in the bear market. You guys got to pay attention to the financial asset classes because it doesn't matter what the narrative is. I'm watching the dollar, I'm watching Japan, and we're watching the dollar drain, and it's going to drain out for the rest of this year and into next year. Okay, so we're looking at 2025 at lowest value of the dollar. Not to mention that Bitcoin halving is 2024. Okay, so pay attention to the asset classes first. It's okay to analyze geopolitics, analyze what's going on in the market. These things are going to play a good thing, for your research and things of that nature. And that's good. Do your own research. That's good. But there needs to be 90% emphasis on the asset classes and how they're doing, what they're doing. And then you go to politics. Okay. Because it's going to tell you the truth. The asset classes tell you the truth. They tell you what's happening, whether you're going up or going down. And when you go to the other side, things make sense. And what's funny is typically, the markets react before the Fed meeting. So we were at roughly about 105 before the Fed meeting happened. and it started draining to about 103, low 103. I think it was like 103.66. And before the Fed meeting happened, I told the guys, I was like, well, clearly he's going to stay at that 0.50 BPS point, and he's probably going to talk about how they're going to start easing up a little bit, not printing, but they're going to ease up a little bit. And, people are like, well, how do you know that? Well, because the dollar is already reacting. So that story, whatever story he's going to make up, it needs to match that dollar, because what's happening to the dollar has nothing to do with the Fed. The Fed could actually, manipulate the currency as much as they want, but there's still counter opposing forces that are going to force that dollar down, like other countries and central banks. They don't wait for the schedule of the Fed. They don't wait for Jerome to do whatever he needs to do to make their moves. They're watching his moves all the time. They're seeing what's happening. So if the dollar is going up, and if you're from another country holding US dollar bonds and you're seeing an overvalued dollar that you can liquidate to prop up your currency, you see a overvalued dollar that you could liquidate when you are not getting enough yield to fight inflation rate. Are you going to wait for fucking Jerome Powell to shit his pants today? No, you're not going to wait for that. You're going to look at the numbers. You're going to look at the markets. You're going to say, well, fuck this guy. I'm going to sell right now. So again, this is why I tell you guys, this is going to help you understand what's happening in the markets better than any reporter out there, better than any narrative that you go through out there and stuff like that. If you don't know more than crypto, you're not a crypto expert. Okay. You need to understand multiple asset classes to get an idea of what's going on. And then you can match it up with the political news and stuff like that, and that's always good and dandy. But what's going to help you in your forecast is understanding multiple asset classes. And that's what we teach here at MYC. We know when I first came into this industry, a lot of people, and even till this day, the mainstream strategy is, oh, I got the best picks. I got a hot pick. These are the best picks, 100x multiplier, 20x multipliers. No. What we talk about here is multiple asset classes and how they are going to correlate with the markets. And then we also teach the way the crypto is going to work. You're going to learn about tokenomics. You're going to learn whether, like for instance, a lot of people, they look at, Solo, or they look at Core. If the dollar is going down, the best coins, or the coins that are going to perform well under a inflationary environment, you're going to want to go towards a deflationary coin. Okay. So like, for instance, Core is inflationary while Solo is deflationary. So it has a burn rate. So it's going to naturally build scarcity, or it's going to hold more value, whatever the case, because it starts making that supply lower. But while this is all happening, the dollar is losing value. So it's kind of like a double factor there. So this does have an effect on crypto. And a lot of people don't think that, deflationary and inflationary don't matter in a coin, but it does. If you have a burn rate and scarcity is beginning to happen, then chances are the value is going to go up in that coin just based on that scarcity. Okay. So that's just a quick example, but again, you want to take all of these things, I guess as like a grain of salt, but you still want to add it to your research. Nothing is ever as it seems, so I did want to talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of other picks I've been looking at. Like I do like LCX a lot, shout out to Uncle Lou on that. A lot of people bring up several different picks. We had a lot of like, one thing I like doing on OddApp, and this is something that I've taken a backseat on, is like, we've already won the battle. We've already won the war. I want you guys to know that we've already won. We're the top performing community in the entire crypto sector. We already won. So, the way I see it is, we don't need to be competitive between all these different picks anymore. What I want to go to is reviewing different picks and giving our say about it, and going on with our business, because we already won. We have our own app, our own platform, and I want to start doing coin reviews of anything you guys bring me. I want to start giving people the stage. We have a lot of different people from different organizations and different industries that have a lot to share with us. We had cybersecurity holograms with us. One of our MYC OGs, 82nd Airborne, fucking most hardcore motherfucker I've ever met. He spent the time to teach us about cybersecurity. And I want to bring more of those interviews and more of those voice conferences to MYC, because we have a lot of talented individuals that have skill sets that they've taught me. And I shout out holograms a lot, because a lot of what he taught me, I integrated into OddApp, because Discord and Twitter, Telegram, they have privacy problems, they have security issues, and a lot of things are just harvesting your data. And on top of that, not only is it the platform harvesting your data, you have a lot of people from different servers hopping into your community, trying to steal your pics and trying to steal your data, your IP, your brand, your business models, screenshotting you, trying to make misrepresentations of who you are, and I built this app specifically for the crypto communities out there that deal with these things. Because when you get to a certain level of talent, you're going to have a lot of competitors that are pieces of shit, clearly, but at the end of the day, you want to protect your IP and you want to protect your community. So what I wanted to do was have a place where there's KYC attached to your account. Discord and Telegram, you don't even need a fucking phone number to get an account there. So it's literally a breeding ground for fucking bad actors and malicious actors, things of that nature. I've been through it all. And I designed OddApp to counteract those things, because each person that gets that subscribes to OddApp, KYC is tied to their identity. If they get banned from that server, or they get banned from my app, they're gone for life. So there's that. On top of that, there's no screenshotting. There's none of that bullshit there. There's going to be zero tolerance for that nonsense, because what we want is a better environment for people to do research, a better environment for people to protect their data, protect their IP, protect their security, protect their business models, all sorts of things, and that's what we want. A lot of bad actors, if you're a bad actor, chances are you're not going to want to be there, because I'm going to know exactly who you are, okay, by name. So, there's a lot of different things that I've implemented in order to make it a safer place for not only our community, but for other communities that have already joined us. So I'm happy with that. But also, I want to make sure that we provide the stage for other communities to talk about the picks that they want to talk about. I want to provide democracy to a lot of the communities out there, because in OddApp, we have a voting system. A lot of people have different voting systems that are don't really work, when it comes to real democracy. So what I wanted to do was implement voting systems where the community can vote on what they want to talk about, or what picks they want to talk about, or whatever the case. So that way different influencers or content creators could go by the voice of the people. So these are just little things that I've tried to implement. There's a lot of other things that I have ideas for and stuff like that. So I do appreciate a lot of you guys. We had close to 200 people sign up for OddApp subscribers within the first 48 hours. And I can't tell you guys enough how proud I am and how happy I am that you guys support us, because you're not only supporting me, you're supporting my family, you're supporting our business, you're supporting our movement, and eventually you guys are going to be able to support the next emerging economy for our communities that are just like us, because you guys made the opportunity for me, but I'm slowly working towards creating the opportunity for other people that want to content create, but not get censored by platforms like this, or not get their data harvested or their data stolen, or any of those things. Because right now what's going on is, when you want a Discord or all that stuff, or you want to get into a private network, you have to put your credit cards on Patreon, OnlyFans. You have to link up your digital wallets. You're getting your NFTs stolen. You're getting hacked. You're getting malice actors stealing your IP. They're harvesting your members. They're going into your rosters. They're clicking each account, DMing your people in your community, talking shit about you, or telling, or solicitation, or, there's a bunch of things that they do. There's bots everywhere. OddApp has 0 bots, 100% humans. There's no bots there. And, that's the best part about this, because I wanted to focus on privacy, security first, focusing on functionality. And now we're going to continue to add more and more features and things of that nature. We had a lot of fun today, putting GIFs and doing all the fun shit we used to do on all these other platforms. I've transferred a lot of that over, and we're just going to continue sharpening it, and it's going to be great. Let me go through your comments, and then I want to talk about a few other things with you guys. I really hope, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the bond market, or if you don't understand what I'm talking about when it comes to tokenomics or deflation, inflationary coins, if you want to know more about these exchanges, the way they work, how fake volume work, how bots work in the exchanges, if you want to learn about different leverages, a lot of these different things I want to talk about and I want to educate on to a deeper level. And with voice conference, we have these one-on-ones where we can actually really pinpoint what you're looking to learn. So a lot of this of what I've integrated into OddApp is going to be a lot more interactive. It's going to be a little bit closer and tight knit. And, it's going to take away your reading glasses for a little bit, because yes, we have texting communication just like Discord or Telegram and all that stuff. But what I want to bring back is humanity. I want to bring back voice conferences, and I want to get our members talking and really start educating and really start networking to another level. So that way we could start building this thing out to what I really want it to be. So, I really do appreciate you guys. And I do want to shout out a lot of you older guys out there. Some of our older members have reached out to me, said that, they don't want to use the app, but they're going to subscribe to the app. I appreciate that, guys, but for me, I really do want you to use it and at least get on voice with me, talk to me, do something, anything. If you don't want to text and stuff like that, click the voice conference and let's talk. I'm here with you guys, and you guys don't get to talk to Mark Zuckerberg. You don't get to talk to Elon. You don't get to talk to any of these guys about what you want out of an app. And I'm talking to you every single day, so you guys are going to have that closeness with me where we could add the things everything that we want. A lot of people told me, they said, oh, I want to transfer, this or this emoji to OddApp and stuff like that. I'm like, no, we should just make up our own emojis. We should make up whatever we want because it's our platform. We don't need to integrate shit. We could create it. So, let's get away from the boxes we came from, and let's go in there with fresh minds to make whatever we want, because this is ours, guys. This is unheard of. No one has done this. Nobody. Make an app like this. Everybody in the crypto sector talks about, what's the use case? What does the company do? What are the services? What are the products? And, what kind of utility does it have? When was the last time a company made something that you use literally in real life every single day? That's us. We built a product and a platform that we're using literally every day. I don't know what's greater than that. So let's continue building all the things that we want on this thing. And I just can't tell you guys how appreciative I am for your support. I didn't really know what to expect. And for the fact that you guys, we had 200 people sign up literally within the first 48 hours. And that meant the world to me. And it meant the world to me for my elders out there that follow us at MYC. I know you guys love how rough we are. I know you guys love the way we talk because a lot of the whippersnappers don't fucking listen. I know a lot of that shit because a lot of you guys reach out to me and you say, Dion, I always have my son watch you because they don't fucking listen to me. So, I appreciate you guys and I appreciate your support, and, I really do ask you guys to, even if you guys are just subscribing to the app to support me and support MYC, take a day or take some time to just hop in there and get on voice with me so I could talk to you. Let me get to, and guys, look, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Okay. I'm going to go through your comments real quick. And then we're going to talk about some other forecasts that I want to go over. Fabian says, yo, my boy Dion. Yeah. What's up, Fabian? Jorge says, let's go. Gomez says, let's go. Paul says, do you believe in this XRP buyback rumor? No, I don't. And the reason why is because I was on a Twitter Spaces with Brad Garlinghouse. Like literally, I was on a Spaces with Brad Garlinghouse. It was with MarioKim.com and some other people. And Brad Garlinghouse said that he purchases XRP himself and he also sells it. And that's the way he creates revenue. And there's nothing wrong with that. He said there's no rules that say you can't do that. A lot of people got really upset with that comment that he made. But that's just what he said. He's like, look, this whole conversation is about SBF, not me, But there is a buyback program, but it's Brad. Brad is buying it back and he's selling it, And, again, it's like he said, he defended himself. He was like, look, I buy it and I sell. I buy XRP and I sell XRP. And it's one way we create revenue. And, he said there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people don't like hearing that, or they don't want to hear that, but it's on recording. If you go to Mario's Twitter, it's on recording when he was on there. It was the very first time that SBF was interviewed. So, he was on Twitter Spaces. He did admit that. So, there is a buyback program, but it's not from APMEX. It's not from the banks or anything like that. You're not getting an ounce of gold. You're just selling it to Brad and he's going to sell it, Now, that's not to say that XRP is a bad company, and that's not to say that XRP can't scale. What's going to scale XRP is DeFi, and I'm going to shout out a lot of the XRPL admins out there because what's happening is kind of fucked up. And I do blame the influencers on this because they create false expectations. That's the problem. A lot of people create false expectations and that's the problem, in the long run, can it be true? Yeah, absolutely. It could be true. Any coin could technically scale to any number. It just depends on time and it depends on what's going on or whatever. It is possible. However, I think a lot of the overemphasis and a lot of the false expectations that a lot of these influencers push out really disturb the XRPL ecosystem and its development. I really feel like a lot of these guys should press pause for a little bit and understand how many admins they're hurting out there. Because, could you imagine working on the XRPL and you're busting your ass every day and all you hear about in your server or wherever you are is how they're buying your token and they only have wishes or desires to dump your token to get back into XRP. You're actually disturbing the growth of the ecosystem doing that, So as much as I get it and I understand that, people should have the education to understand that DeFi is how XRP will ultimately scale to higher levels. So there should be a bigger respect for XRPL DeFi than just XRP. So I do wish that there wasn't too much emphasis on just that, because if you really think about it, that doesn't happen on ETH. That doesn't happen on other blockchains. No one is like that except the XRPL community. And the problem is miseducation. A lot of the XRPL kids, are not the most educated people in the crypto sector, and that's a problem. And that's not to make fun of you. It's just to tell you the truth. I think a lot of you guys need to take the time to just get educated, humble yourself for a little bit. And that's not to say that I know everything either. I don't know everything. I'm very educated. I have a nice background. I really spend the time to research. I do my thing. I've outperformed. I've done the calls. I've done great things, and I think credit should be given to where credit is due, because I know I'm great and I know you guys understand and know I'm great too, whether you want to admit it or not. But you have to take a moment to understand the way these tokens work and how they scale. These blockchains or these layer ones need DeFi in order to scale. Chainlink and other ERC20 tokens have strong scalability, and they have the ability to remain at higher dollars because a lot of those investors understand the scalability of DeFi tokens because they have a lesser cap than the layer one. ODL is supposed to supply the liquidity for the DeFi projects, okay? In order for these DeFi projects to exist, they need to buy a bunch of XRP, so that way they could back their token working on top of XRPL, okay? That's the only reason why XRP exists. So that's the way it's supposed to work, okay? There's a lot of other things that you guys kind of go into with narrative and all that stuff, and I think that's cool and all that stuff, but you should really understand the way these things work, the way they scale, and why DeFi tokens or ERC20 tokens or XRC20 tokens, whatever you want to call them, between DeFi and layer one, you need to understand that the relationship between the layer one and the layer two and why they need each other, okay? So once you get past that, you're going to understand a lot of the things that are being said within the crypto sector are really silly, and it really does hurt a lot of the people out there that I know for a fact are busting their ass out there. So, you want to take the time to just learn that and get away from a lot of these riddles. These riddles are really toxic. They're dangerous. And the reason why a lot of people fall into it is because there's a lot of religious cultism to it. And I really don't believe that you guys should put so much emphasis on Jewish mysticism or Kabbalism and all that stuff, because it has nothing to do with finance. A lot of people sit there and they play with all this bullshit. But at the end of the day, the markets and the asset classes do a better job at telling you what's going on than that dumb shit. And I'm living proof of that because I've outperformed every person that I've ever met in the XRPL system. So guys, what I'm trying to tell you guys from the most humblest, most respectful part, stop fucking drinking Kool-Aid and that dumb shit, because you're hurting yourself, you're hurting these communities, and you're not properly educating people. You should take the time to educate them properly so they understand what's going on within the ecosystem, how they scale, and why DeFi is important. So that way a lot of this stuff can scale to the 589 that you really want, So, and another thing, another reason why a lot of these people believe in this bullshit is because of the fake numbers on Twitter, because of the fake numbers on YouTube and on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There is a ton of bots out there, and it's fucking fake. They buy engagements, they buy fake followers, fake subscribers, all these dumb things. And, there's a reason why Elon wants to get rid of all these bots. And what's funny is he didn't get rid of all these bots. He never got rid of all the bots. He got rid of some of them, but he doesn't want to get rid of all of them. And the reason why he doesn't want to get rid of all of them is because if he does, he's going to lose every single advertiser he's ever had, ever. Because they're going to realize that there is not that many humans on Twitter, that there is probably 90% bots and 10% fucking humans. Because a lot of the 10% of the humans that are on there, they make fucking three or five accounts. And what's fucked up about these social platforms is when if you're a business, or if you're marketing your tweet, or if you're marketing your account or your company or whatever the case, they tell you, okay, give us 100,000 and we'll market to 1.5 million users. Okay. They don't use the term humans, because if they said humans, they would be fucking lying to you. They say users because bots and humans are users. It's an account. It's a user. So a lot of this shit's going to be coming to light, and it's coming to light more and more. And I think a lot of us need to realize a lot of the things that you think are popular are not. And there's not that many people on Twitter, and there's not that many people engaging with these stupid fucking tweets, and you guys got to step outside of the herd mentality and see it for what it is. It's everywhere, everywhere. A lot of these companies, a lot of these influencers are doing it, and I've never participated in it. So you tell me why I've performed the way I've performed. You tell me why MYC is a massive success for the numbers that we have, while these guys haven't produced shit. You tell me what makes sense. The guy telling you the truth that sounds like an asshole, or the fucking guy that pets your ear all day with fucking riddles, lying to you about how many engagements he really has. Okay. So I'm not here to tear you down. I'm just here to tell you to be authentic, because you could be better. I'm telling you that who you are as a real individual is more interesting than these made up characters. You should be yourself. Always be yourself. Don't sacrifice who you are for popularity or acceptance or political correctness, because I'm here to tell you that people that are like me, that won't make that sacrifice, could be successful. And I'm telling you, I'm here being successful, and I'm here telling you guys that you could do it too, that you could be authentic, and you don't need to use these tools to fool people. You don't need to use these tools to trick people into thinking that you're somebody. You could be somebody by yourself. You don't need numbers or robots or algorithms to prove to people that you're great. Okay. And I tell people this all the time, that I don't care what YouTube or what Twitter show for my engagements. I don't care what it shows, because I know people watch me. I hear my education echo throughout the entire crypto sector all the time. There's particular things that I say. There's particular definitions that I've made up. There's particular terms that I make up personally, because I come from corporate. I know the things that happen when it comes to IP theft, data theft, education theft, all these things. I know what people do. So because of that, I make sure that I make up unique terms, unique financial literacy terms. So that way I could hear my echo in the market. And I've heard my echo through this entire crypto sector for over 3 years. So that's why I'm telling you guys to put that bullshit down, be yourself, be real with yourself, and be real with others, because you don't need all those things. Marketing companies are, to be honest with you, I feel like these marketing companies have convinced people that it's better to propagate fake numbers to make people confident in you. You shouldn't be buying confidence through these tools. You should be yourself enough to earn those things. You don't need these tools. And there's still a lot of people to this day that talk about what I'm talking about, and they say, oh, they pretend like they're still legit. Meanwhile, they still got fake shit going on, But I know they know that we know. So, guys, you could buy a lot of these things. So, and I just think it's a waste of money. I don't think we should be, voting with our money to companies like this or things like that. It's not needed. I think authenticity needs to happen. And that's one of the biggest reasons why digital ID is going to be a big player for Web3 in this next bull cycle. ArcBlock, I'm very bullish on. ABT, 186 million coin cap. Very awesome company. I'm going to be utilizing Blocklet. I want to utilize their payment processing system. I've been working with Robert Mao here and there and stuff like that. And I really do want to do more, because he's literally been one of the only companies that I've messed with where, he's shown me that he doesn't care how I am. He literally accepts us, and he doesn't try to be politically correct. He's based as shit. And those are the people I want to work with, because we have an entire economy saturated in fucking pink hats and Teletubbies and all this other shit, but we don't have a real marketplace for people like us. We're the only ones there. And now it's popular to be people like us now. It's going mainstream. Within the next 6 months, you're going to see a bunch of bandwagon hoppers because they're going to realize that liberalism is going to zero. All the climate change, all that dumb shit is going to zero. And they're going to realize that nationalism, that patriotism is coming back fucking full force, full red sweeps, full red wave. That's what's coming. And we're going to be the new next emerging economy, the new next emerging system, and the next emerging communities out there, because we never fucking sacrificed ourselves for the sake of popularity. We stayed based at all times. We didn't care about that. And it's going to happen. And you know, what's funny is like a lot of people may not see it yet, but it's coming. It is coming. And that's what Web3 is all about. It's about not being censored. You hear me now? Do you hear me now? It's about not being censored. Web3 is about not being censored. So who do you think will lead Web3? People that don't want to be censored. So I'm telling you guys, the next emerging market will be people like us. Why do you think Ye is up there? Why do you think Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, a lot of these people that got canceled are now starting to emerge? Guess what the topic is going to be in the next bull cycle? Web3. The only way you're going to get into Web3 is DID. You're going to need a digital identification, because if you're going to get immutable programs or immutable apps put out into the internet, or you're going to put stores on the internet and nobody could stop you from being censored, then that means that they need to tie the digital identification for not only tax purposes, but they want to do that because if you're selling something that you're not supposed to be, they want to be able to find you. So that's the whole point of DID. It's about security and all sorts of things of that nature. And there's nothing we could do about it. It's just what's coming. So we have to pay attention to this. And, you know, a lot of these companies that are Web3 that are talking like they got Web3 right now, they are fucking lying, because Web3 is not out yet. There's no such thing as Web3 right now. There's no such, I'm going to repeat this again. There's no such thing as Web3 right now. There's no such thing right now. We don't got it yet. And the reason why we don't got it yet is because we don't have consensus. We don't have consensus yet on DID. We have the verifier, we have the formula, we have everything ready to go. We have a standard recommendation from W3C for DID. And that's what ArcBlock is so famous for. You know, we got so much cool shit going on. It's an open source protocol. However, DID is just one step to the future, because you have the protocol, but what's going to get you there is consensus. Because think about it. If you got a digital ID, now you need your digital wallet, and you need whatever else they want to tie to this. So digital ID, digital wallet, and whatever else they want to tether to this. Because instead of you having a driver's license, credit card, debit card, it's all going to be one spot. Okay. But, and it's going to be trustless, you know, instead of you showing your face or instead of you showing like your address, your birthday and stuff like that, you're just going to be able to scan it, and the machine or whatever they scan with is instantly going to know you're telling the truth, that you're over 21 and you can purchase alcohol, you know, things like that, you know, and it'll allow you to get on that Web3 internet and stuff like that. But they're going to need to have that digital ID tied to that. Okay. Now, consensus is the next step, because now you have the technology, you have the infrastructure ready to go, but what you need is consensus. So the consensus is what governments and companies and consumers have to agree to when it comes to what data gets withheld and what data gets released. Okay. ArcBlock is a patriot. Okay. Robert Mao is a patriot. He believes in America. You know, he really loves freedom, because he comes from a place that doesn't have freedom. And that's why he loves people like us so much, because we have freedom, and he loves to see freedom ring. So you have to pay attention to this, because if you think about it, in order to get to consensus, the governments have to know how much data they could get, or how much data they have, you know, how much data they should get. The companies want to know how much data they should get, and the consumer doesn't want to give out shit. Okay. So you have the DID infrastructure that, you know, a lot of protocols will take place in, including ArcBlock. But also the consensus part is we have to get all the governments in agreement with how much data are they going to allow the consumer, me and you, or the citizen to hide or withhold data. They need to come up with an agreement of how much data they don't deserve to have. And unfortunately, we're within a government or governments that are tyrannical. So we have to go through that hurdle. That'll happen through legislative and, you know, all these things. We're far away. Then you have to go through the companies. And the companies, think about it, a lot of these bigger companies have been living off of your data. Okay. Why do you think Twitter Blue it created Twitter, or why do you think Twitter created Twitter Blue? Because they started deleting bots and now they're less users and now marketers. You know, Elon told you guys it was because of free speech. But what really happened was he started showing less users because he started revealing that there were more bots. So a lot of these advertisers saw less users and they said, well, we're going to go to Facebook because they don't got a bot problem. They do. But, you know, that's what happened. So now Elon says, okay, well, because of free speech, we're going to do Twitter Blue. And Twitter Blue means that, you know, now there's a subscription-based model. It gets worse. It gets worse, though, because now in order for you to avoid him stealing your data and harvesting your data or tracking you via location, you have to sign up for Twitter Blue. That's what's happening. So what's going on right now is a collapse in a lot of these companies that have been monetizing your data because Americans and people around the world are tired of relinquishing their data to these big ass conglomerate companies that have been monetizing your data, your privacy for their margins. And that's why these apps have been free for the past 20 years. Okay. OddApp is ahead of the game again because we don't have a single bot. We don't harvest your data. We don't sell your data. None of that. This is the most American app that's been out in over 20 years. There's not that many apps that come out and say the things that we say, because if you go to Apple Store, you go to Google Store, it literally tells you underneath in the description or the developer notes, it says, does not harvest your data, does not sell your data to third parties. We don't do this. We don't do that. And the reason why it says that is because it's different. A lot of these other companies, you sign off on terms and agreements, you're signing off your data, your location, your privacy, your security, all sorts of shit. And that's why when you guys are walking around and you see, you know, who knows, maybe you bought a fucking dildo for your girlfriend the other day on eBay, you're probably going to see some fucking advertisement on Facebook about fucking sex toys. You know, that's, you know, these apps are listening to you even when you don't have them on. Okay. They're tracking you where you go. They're going to know if you went to McDonald's. They know what time you sleep because they're analyzing when you put your phone down. They're analyzing your facial movements. This is something that Holograms was going over with us just last night during the voice conference on OddApp. They analyze your eyebrows, what you do, your reactions, your face. They analyze how many times you jerk off. They fucking analyze everything because you give them permission to. Okay? All of these different things are security and privacy issues that I take seriously, you know, because I wanted to make something that didn't harvest your data. And that's what I made. So, you know, you're going to slowly start to see a lot of these companies collapse because a lot of these customers don't want this to happen anymore. They don't want to be their data being taken anymore. So, you know, the paradigm shift is happening, and Twitter is going to be one of the first companies to implement, and which it is, one of the first companies to implement a subscription-based model. Okay. My app is subscription-based model, and we've been talking about that forever. But at the end of the day, we're still forward thinking. We're ahead of the game because this is going to be the next emerging market. Because either you sign up for an app like this that doesn't harvest everything you do, or you could have a free app and give away all your identity, all your data, your credit cards and stuff like that. I mean, guys, look at what happens. Think about all the shit that you give out for free, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever the case. If you're on Discord, they're harvesting everything you talk about. And then on top of that, you know, these private Discord servers, they want you to sign up to Patreon, OnlyFans, and all these other fucking things. You got your credit card information all over the place. And then people wonder when you try to sign into a private Discord server, you're hooking up your digital wallet and you're getting your NFTs stolen or you're getting your currency stolen. Why do you think all these things are going on? Everything is making a new case for Web3, for uncensorable, for things or creations or apps or dApps or anything that doesn't harvest your data. Everything is going this way. And you're not, I mean, there's going to be people that are going to, not going to see it coming, but it is here. It's already here, but you don't notice it because no one's talking about it. But here at MYC, we serve on-demand data every single day, and it's because we're constantly keeping our fingers to the pulse of the market, and we want to understand what's going on. We want to know what the next emerging market is, because while everybody is talking, so the biggest issue and the reason why a lot of these bubbles are made in the crypto sector is because, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but, but it's the truth. Okay. Unfortunately, the way a lot of influencers or the way a lot of content creators are programmed is they're working their pay plan. They want to work off of algorithm. So they want to talk about whatever's popular, and they want to talk about different picks, or they want to talk about whatever the current event is. So what the problem with that business model is it creates a toxic environment for the audience. So when you're creating a toxic environment for the audience, you're more likely to fail them, and I'm trying to explain to you guys why MYC has been so successful. There's a lot of different things I've talked about in this video as to why we've done better than others. And the reason why is because we didn't go mainstream, and because we didn't chase the algorithm, because chasing the algorithm is chasing saturated markets. So when you're trying to produce all these videos that everybody's talking about, hoping to get these algorithms so you can get your views up, so you could work your pay plan for monetization of your commercials, you're following these bubbles, and these bubbles are typically late because everyone's already there. Everyone's already talking about it. So you're not buying bottoms, you're buying tops. So this is why MYC, whenever you watch us, we're always talking about shit nobody talks about. And it's for a good reason, and mind you, people that are talking about picks right now in the bear market, you're going to be, typically you're going to be okay because, this is the very bottom of the macro market. So you should be okay. However, it gets increasingly more dangerous, increasingly more toxic and dangerous for the influencer and the audience, because as you get closer and closer and closer to the bull cycle, you start buying higher and higher and higher tops, and this creates a bigger and bigger bubble. So, I think it's good to talk about a variety of different things, and that's always good, but I do not think people should continuously chase algorithms for the sake of commercialization, for the views, because you're creating an environment to fail. And that's just, me providing some notes about why I see people fail and why I see a lot of investors fail in the crypto sector, because a lot of people fail in the crypto sector because they think that an influencer is going to carry a pick. And when you think that, that's when you're going to get wrecked, because a lot of people think that they're smart and they're not. They just think like, I know everything because I'm going to look at a video that everyone's watching about one particular pick. And it's not the smartest thing to do, because you're chasing tops. You're chasing a saturated market, So, it's not to discourage you guys. I'm not trying to be a douche to all of you guys, but I'm trying to explain to you in the most truthful way I can to stop you from yourself. Okay. So, and this is not a knock against other communities out there or, different influencers or not like that, but I do feel like, when you try to, when you're trying to worship these robots, or you're trying to worship the algorithm, or you're trying to worship, whatever is popular right now for the sake of views, for that commercialization revenue, you're creating an environment for failure. So I just want to put that out there to you guys, because we have a lot of influencers that watch us. We have a lot of content creators that watch us. We have a lot of people from different bigger corporate companies that watch us. We have different private equity group friends of mine that watch us. We have we have 3 people from MicroStrategy that watch us. We have, I'm pretty damn sure Robert Mao watches us. A lot of people watch us, and it's not to, I'm not trying to, become famous and trying to push everyone out. It's just like, when you know something works, you want to put it out there, but also you want to make sure that people understand the danger they're putting themselves in, or, the danger you're putting the audience in. Because it's like, I was talking to one of our content creators. He specializes in leverage trading and things of that nature, and he's really good at it. It's something I'm never going to do. I really don't like leverage trading. It's not my thing. And a shout out to you, bro, if you're watching, both of you actually, but there's different things that we'll talk to each other about where I'll be like, hey, you want to make sure that you present it this way, so that way people know and stuff like that. And of course, everyone always likes to say, oh, not financial advice, or not this or not that, and that's cool. That's perfect. However, you still want to put a little bit more sauce to those things, so that way people understand their risk as best you can. Of course, there's going to be idiots out there no matter what, but still, you want to make sure that you always cover yourself. And that's what I'm here for, guys. I support a lot of business owners here on OddApp. Back then it was Discord but now it's everyone literally ran out to OddApp, and I love it, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of different business owners, and I want to be there to also give you my experience, and I want to be there to support you and platform you and help you in any which way I can. So that way we can all succeed and things of that nature. One of our members came up to me, and he was saying that, could we talk about how to start online businesses, or how to do this or how to do that? Yeah, absolutely. We talk about all those things. We have a lot of business owners that are on OddApp right now that talk to each other, coach each other. We had holograms yesterday, and he's one of our cybersecurity experts, and he taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot since the very beginning, since the first video I ever made. So let's go on. Jorge says, MYC is the tits. Absolutely, sir. Daniel says, fucking legend. You motherfuckers better hit the like button. Absolutely, sir. Fancy Pants says, great start for new beginnings. Absolutely. Let me keep it rolling. Jake says, you sum that lie up very nicely. Absolutely. Fancy Pants, look at us now. Absolutely. Jake says, PRQ is good. Yep. Sons of Hexico. Yeah, Hex is definitely a nice one. I think the prices are not that bad. Be honest with you, I wouldn't mind getting bullish on Hex and the decimals, or even a penny would be nice, but you greedy little Hexicans, you guys want all of it for yourselves, but we'll see what happens. But something, a lot of people, they say this and that about this particular coin or that coin. I'll be really honest with you. If the coin has a community, or if there's a community there for it and they adopt it, then it's a good coin. It's going to be a real coin. There just needs to be a community. I think with the right community, anything can be possible. And you look at Dogcoin. Dogcoin was literally worthless until Elon touched it. And that happened years after it produced. Years. Is the admin even important? The admin stopped being important like a couple years ago. And I always tell people this too, for projects out there, admins should not have so much emphasis on themselves. Admins are very, they're literally not important. No admin is never going to outlive their own coin. What's important is the admin to start a place for the community to grow, and the community adopts the coin, or adopts the project, or adopts the culture, and they push it forward. That's what creates success, is the community. Okay. The admin is worthless after so many years, because at some point the community needs to take it and then fucking put it to the next level. And that's what happened with Dogcoin. Dogcoin never had Elon. It had some random other guy, and that guy is gone. He's not important. Same thing with Litecoin. Litecoin is not important. The admin was not important, but the community made it important, and that's what it's about, the community. Explore more. Is there anything ABT can't do? I'll be really honest with you. It is literally like an everything type of company. It really does everything. The blocklets are pretty badass. It has revenue split. So if you could program smart contracts to split up revenue or expenses or payment processing, and that's really what I'm interested in. You could create literally anything you want, and it's going to be uncensorable. So it's pretty badass. I'm very bullish on ArcBlock. I don't know if you guys noticed, I could be biased, Brian the Nickel says, I figured I'd find you degenerates in here. ABT to the fucking moon. Absolutely. Gom says, ALBT. Yeah, absolutely. Also doing something related to trustless ID management for DeFi with MiCA regulations, at least for EU will come. Well, yeah, that sounds cool, but the problem is like DID is the W3C and Stern's recommendation. So chances are DID is going to be like the indicator there. That's not to say that trustless ID management might not play a role in this, because a lot of people think that DID is just ARC blocks, but it's not. ARC block. See, what's cool about Robert Mao is like he's shown me things that and I hate to admit it, guys, but Robert Mao really made me really like the tech, and we're going to move on. But, he made me really see how the crypto sector could unify. He showed me that you could say what something lacks and you could still congregate with another community to find what you lack in something else. Like the crypto sector needs a way for people to instead of the criticism, they should say what something needs and then find the company that could fill the gap. And that's what ultimately is going to create more adoption, is more unity within the sector. And, he's really turned me around a little bit with the way of my thinking and how to see things differently, and I just want to shout him out on that, because it's like, not every company is going to have everything, like ETH cannot be everything, Bitcoin cannot be everything. Bitcoin needs this and Bitcoin needs that. ETH needs this, See, Bitcoin is generation 1, ETH is generation 2, and then ARC block would be generation 3 and so forth in all the other Web3 or whatever. So you have that 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and technology is going to continuously evolve, so you have to have that in mind too. And I do love how like ICP is a big play for me. I think that's a good company. And, ICP is going to bring, smart contracts to Bitcoin, and there's like some nice integration. I like how they got something going. They got a good narrative, 500 million coin cap. It's nice. And, we'll see where it goes, but my targets are all Web3. I don't want to touch anything that's not Web3. And, on top of that, a lot of companies say they're Web3 and they're not. But if they're not talking to you about creating something and you own it, like you own the platform, you own the protocol, you own the app, you own the app store, you own everything, then it's not Web3. If they're saying we're Web3 and we'll give you this platform and then you work on here, that's not Web3. Web3 is true ownership of everything you create. So imagine, let's use OpenSea as an example. OpenSea, you could upload your NFTs to it, or the XRPL. You could upload your NFTs to the Sologenics marketplace, stuff like that. That's not Web3, okay? Because you're still using their protocol, or you're using their platform or their DEX, okay? That's not Web3. That's Web2, because you're still using someone else's shit, okay? Is it decentralized in a way? Yeah, a little bit, but it's not. Because Web3 is going to be where you make your solo DEX and you make your NFT marketplace. You make your OpenSea platform. You own it. You don't pay a tax to it, okay? You take full everything on it, okay? And that's why I like about ARC block a lot, because with ARC block, you don't pay them. Like, so with Google app, okay, so let's use Odd App as an example. Odd App, I have to pay a tax to Apple and I have to pay a tax to Google, okay? They're gatekeepers in a way. So, and in fact, they, if they really wanted to, they could tell me how to make my app, which is what they did. When I first tried to launch my app, they said, hey, you need to add this feature. We can't put you on. So I had to add the feature. Web3, I'm not going to need to ask them. I'm just going to be able to launch. See what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of Web2 companies are going to migrate to Web3. Does that mean their blockchains are going to migrate? No. But the technology, the websites, and all that, Web2, they're gonna migrate over, and that's how they're gonna become uncensorable. But I have to pay a tax to Apple, I have to pay a tax to Google to keep my app running. Before you whippersnappers got on yesterday, because Odd App launched on Apple and Google Play Store just yesterday or a couple days ago. Before you guys got on, I've been paying Apple and Google for a year before it came out because I was building it. And I had to keep paying them. And then now that I'm taking in revenue, I had to pay them too. I have to pay AWS, So what's happening is I have to pay these gatekeepers to give me what I need. And with Web3, you're not going to need to do that, That's what I like about ARC block, is because I could purchase a server from them for the memory or the power I need. But what's nice about that is if I run using their server, I don't have to pay a tax to Google. I don't have to pay 30% to Google. I don't have to pay 30% to Apple. I keep 100% of my revenue. and all I need to do is purchase my server, and I'm done. So, you know, these are just things that separate Web 2 to Web 3. You know, you're going to own things. You're not going to pay a gatekeeper, you know. So these are all things that are going to come into play as we go into this next bull cycle. So that's why if you want to do good, everything that you thought was popular last cycle is going to zero. I'm not fucking with you. Everything that you thought was popular last cycle is not what's going to be popular this coming cycle. You cannot sit there and think that everything that you touched that did well last cycle is going to do well this next cycle. Okay. So you have to understand that principle and do your research. You guys make your own bets, okay? But, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is you can't have the same mentality that you had last cycle into Web 3. There's Web 2 investors and there's Web 3 investors. Web 2 investors say silly shit like, well, what's the company? What's the utility? What's the cap? What's the partners? That's it. That's not sustainable, and it's going to zero. A Web 3 company is, do you own everything? Can I create everything on it? Can I use it today? You know, does the business model make sense? Is it going to be sustainable? Does it have a product and a service? And if it does have a business model, will it have enough demand to meet those things? You know, because it's built to last. It's built to last. Okay. So ArcBlock is one of the biggest picks for me. You know, I like ICP as well. Another Web3 that I think is kind of crazy that a lot of people aren't thinking about or don't talk about ever is Tezos or Tezos or whatever, XTZ. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but you will be. And, you know, it's just kind of, and it's not something I'm buying right now. I'm not interested because it's too expensive. I'd rather buy an extreme bottom, you know, like ArcBlock. But, you know, it's something to keep on radar. You know, same thing with EOS. Don't forget about EOS, you know. There's a lot of these companies that have been dormant because Web 2 made all these bubbles due to marketing, okay? That's what happened last cycle. A lot of bubbles happened because a lot of people were focused on the wrong things and focused on everything that wasn't sustainable and didn't work. And that's why we had the collapse. So you have to focus on these Web 3 companies, and you need to remove that old mentality of, is there enough marketing? What's the cap? Is there a partner? And that focus on this Web 3 stuff and focus on that sustainability, and you're going to do better. Okay. Let me keep going. Digital currency says, very true. These whippersnapper motherfuckers. Absolutely, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Jason says, we should a level system where the more engagement you have in the app, the more XP, let's say. That would be kind of cool in a way, you know, but is that sustainable? You know, it just depends. I mean, I think it could work if like, I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think it would work as long as like the subscription revenue model made sense, because you still need to be producing revenue. See, that's the thing is like a lot of people want everything for free, but you have to pay for it. You know, if put it this way, right now, you know, everything that's hurting us is data harvesting, privacy issues, security issues. All these things are hurting us. Okay. And that's going to go to zero, and that's going away. So a lot of these bigger companies are actually going to take massive hits, like Microsoft, IBM, things like that. You know, Twitter, Facebook. You know, that's why they're probably going to crash way further. And it's because their revenue models are based on all of these things that are fake. You know, fake users and harvesting your data. And a lot of people are getting over that. They're sick of it. And now a lot of people are searching out apps that are subscription based, aren't harvesting your data, you know, actual use case, not social shit. They're looking more for utility. They want to learn something, or they want an app that, you know, can be useful in their life, you know, not just, you know, because like, think about it. Back in the day, you go on Facebook, it's just stressful because, you know, there's just drama, you know, like it's just that type of stuff, you know. Cyric says MYC is here to stay and is growing. This is the beginning to a new cycle. Yeah, absolutely. Fuckers better strap your dicks on. Yeah, absolutely. Digital currency says people also never clean up or maintain their follower list. So even they don't have an accurate account for themselves. If a bot follows them, they just leave it instead of blocking. Yeah, absolutely. Digital also says, of course, or making the account unfollow them so the numbers are inflated for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But you would be surprised how inflated they are. I'm thinking 90%. That's how bad it is. That's how I think. I mean, because think about it. You know, you saw Elon. Elon has how many users? I mean, how many subscribers. And, you know, and this is things that you guys should know. If you're going to be in the tech industry, you're going to be buying crypto, you should know about tech. You got to know about how these robots are used against you, how they're used to trick you into being confident in somebody. You know, like think about all these people that came out of nowhere that had all these followers and subscribers. You never heard of them. And you're like, how do you have this many subscribers? Like, I've never heard of, like, what? You know, and that's why I tell you guys, is like, a lot of this shit's they purchase this stuff to buy your confidence, and that's wrong, you know? So Elon had 219 million followers, and now he has 121 million, and he's pretending like those are real, and those are not real. He doesn't have that many either, you know, because if he had 121 million, let alone 219 million, there would not only be 17K people listening to him on fucking Twitter Spaces. I thought that was fucking ridiculous. And it'll keep coming out, you know, and guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up to Odd App, don't forget, you know, we don't have a private Discord server anymore. We're going to continue using it for the people that are left behind. We still have a couple shrimp that haven't transferred over or anything like that. And I'm never going to leave anybody behind. I'm still going to service that server and stuff like that. But there's no longer any access. There's no more access being sold to private MYC private Discord server anymore. That's done and over with. The last people that are in that server are the last ones that are ever going to be there. Everyone is going to Odd App, and there's going to be a transitional period. So eventually more and more people will go until virtually the server is empty, you know, or till only a few people remain, or whatever the case. You know, I'm still going to use it to relay data and stuff like that, because sometimes we have, sometimes we have interviews on Odd App, but if we have interview on Odd App, you know, what if we have a guest that, you know, I'm not going to force every guest that wants to interview with me to interview on Odd App. You know, I could still use Discord for that reason, you know, so it's not like I'm deleting it. It's still valuable to me because of the stats on it, you know, but for the most part, everyone is going to be transitioning over to Odd App. Okay. But don't ever feel like, you know, a lot of, I wanted to shout out to a lot of my shrimps out there. I would never leave you guys behind. I'm never, ever going to do that. You know, you guys are the most important people to me. You know, each and every person's important to me with MYC. You guys are a particular culture. You guys have no idea. A lot of you guys, when you first met me, a lot of our whales, when you first met me, you were a shrimp. Okay. So, you know, don't ever feel like I would leave anybody behind. You know, you guys, it's not about your wealth level. It is not about how much money you have. It's not about how much wealth you got. It's about your culture. It's about the fact that you're here with MYC. And it's about that. It's about the people and our people that can handle us and that are like-minded like us. Okay. You know, a lot of people told me that, you know, that we should hide who we are and stuff like that back in the day, you know, and I never wanted to do that, because if I did that, I would never be able to find my brothers. And the way I found my brothers and a lot of my sisters now, I mean, we have a lot of girls on MYC now that are rough, you know, they're real players out there, you know. Like I said, you know, I wanted to remain myself, because I wanted to shoo away all the people that can't handle this. And I wanted to bring in the people that are like, I wanted to find our brothers, our sisters, you know, I wanted to find our real people that get along with us and our culture, you know, and that was the whole point of that. So it's not about your wealth level. It's truly about who you are and you fitting in with people like us, because I know that the market is saturated in liberal pink hat bullshit. So, you know, you are special to me if you are, you know, walking with us. So, but let me keep going. Digital says it's an energy game, not a numbers game. Yeah, absolutely. Employee workplace digital IDs. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, you know, and keep in mind too, you know, ArcBlock's DID got adopted by Homeland Security and also government entities and institutions. So, you know, it is something that people should look into, W3C, and also look into Cascadia Blockchain Console with BlackRock and ArcBlock on there. He's also a Forbes Console member. And he's even working on product prototypes for Tesla utilizing Blocklet. And I think that's pretty cool. There's a lot of different partnerships, and there's a new website about to come out. Digital says they are listening for sure. Your best friend's name, facial, action, coding, emotions. Yeah, absolutely. Slow Rex says, but Dion, I can't watch a 3-hour video. Yeah, exactly. You know, I was laughing my ass off at that, because, you know, some guy was like, I can't watch a 3-hour video, you know, sorry, bro, you know, and I'm like, perfect, good, because this video is not for you. You know, when I make my videos, I make them specifically for our people. There's a particular people I'm looking for.
So, if you're not one of those people, and that's the point. So, I don't want, not everyone, I don't think everyone deserves our education. I don't think everybody deserves what we do here. You see what I'm saying? Like, why should I be universal in making everyone, our level if they're not our type of people? I want to pull our type of people in and focus on you guys, because you guys are the ones that got left behind over your culture. You guys are the ones that got left behind because you didn't sacrifice your spirit or your personality or your kingdom or your nation or your God to appease to liberal pink hat pieces of shit. Okay. These are the turncoats. Okay. We didn't sacrifice ourselves for those people. I want to go to the people that stayed themselves. I want to go after people like me, so that's the whole point of this, and mind you guys, look at what we are. I tell you guys this all the time. Look at all the numbers they got. Look at what they've done. Look at our numbers and look what we have accomplished. 9-day difference. 9-day difference. So quality, not quantity, is what I go for. Location within grocery stores or redirect market you after you go home to buy something after you stay. Yeah, absolutely. Fancy Pants says DID Labs, Connect, Storage, DNS, Passport, Wallet. Yeah, absolutely. Digital says, how do we describe the concept of just thinking about an item or object and then it pops up on your newsfeed? Well, that's probably because 5G and 6G is programmed to read your mind, and Facebook actually talks about this technology where it can actually read your mind or read brain signals. How much I believe in it, yeah, it's pretty possible. It could happen. They could find a way to hack your mind. It's possible. X Killjoy says, "Oh man, I'm late." Fancy Pants says MYC didn't become a sellout for the fame or the clout. Absolutely, sir. Did Dion say I like the tech? Yeah, I know. We don't got to talk about it. Fabian says, much love, Dion. Yeah, absolutely. And guys, look, I appreciate you guys. My family appreciates you guys. MYC does. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to survive. I've done so much, and to get to this point means a lot to me. So let's continue building and continue doing stuff like that, and I'm sorry I said that. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm really, unfortunately, Robert has kind of, he's kind of influenced me a little bit to think about the tech and see the potential of what we could do and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I'm going to be saying things like, let's keep building and, things of that nature. Just don't tell anybody, but, I do love you guys and I support you, and let's keep rocking. Let's keep building this app to be whatever it needs to be. And, thank you for your support. And for those of you guys that are subscribing to the app just out of support, and not using it, whatever, thank you so much. That means the world to me. It means the world to my family. I'm happy that you take the time to do that for me and to do that for us. And, just take the time one day to just pop in there and voice chat me so I can at least talk to you sometimes or whatever. Besides that, let's take a look at one article before I let you guys go. I want you guys to go to Reuters, and Reuters said foreign holdings of treasuries dropped to lowest since May 2021. And if you take a look at this article, they tell you that Japan, since the beginning of this year, has dumped $2 trillion worth of USD bonds. And ultimately, the more Japan does dump, this is going to lead to a big decline in the USD. My forecast still remains the same since the beginning of the year. And a lot of people always say, oh man, these picks failed, this pick failed. Guys, these picks are all active in play. When you talk about picks and you're buying and accumulating picks in the bear market, nothing is happening. You're DCAing and you're waiting for the next big day. And the next big day is 2024 to 2025. And bull markets, they don't do this. They don't just do that. Bull markets happen like this over a course of a couple of years. And a lot of the people that are gonna do the best are gonna be the ones that DCA from here and hold very well for the next couple of years, and you're gonna do well. So a lot of the people out there are on hopium. They're hoping for miracles in the next 3 months. Do yourself a favor and do your community a favor, and stop the false expectation now, so that way they're not upset and they can prepare themselves. Because the last thing you want to do if you're hoping for miracles in 3 months is you don't want to strategize yourself or strategize your life around a 3-month interval. You know, you want to strategize your life for the next 2 years to 5 years, you know, and if you're not doing that, you know, you're going to be gambling a lot, and I don't think you're going to do well. So guys, look, Fancy Pants, how do I think I know what you're laughing at. So, so guys, let's keep building, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'll see you guys in ODAP, and thank you again, guys. Let's keep rocking, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And again, guys, don't forget to sign up, be a subscriber to ODAP. It's 23 USD a month, privacy, security, and MYC's own app. That's our app. And I'm proud of you guys. And I hope to see a lot of you guys. We're going to be doing a lot of voice chats. I want to do a lot of one-on-ones. And don't forget, guys, what's coming is you're not going to be watching Dion on YouTube no more. You're going to be watching Dion on ODAP. It's going to be badass, guys. So we're going to continue working on that. And then my next step after that is finding content creators for ODAP. And you guys are going to be the new content creators, and you guys are going to be producing content on there. And one day, hopefully, we can all make a good digital economy on there. You know, that's what it's for. So I want to continue building and continue doing a great thing. Just don't tell anybody that I said keep building. Don't tell anybody that I'm here for the tech, okay? Because then they're going to make fun of me by the end of this video. So don't tell anybody. But, I do want to shout out Robert Mao. He's been so awesome. He's taught me so much. Let's just keep doing it. And again, if you're from a different country, by the way, and you're signing up to ODAP, it depends on your country and it depends on your device. If it's Apple or Android, for some reason, your country may charge you different. For the US, it's easy. It's 23 USD a month. But for those of you, if you go into ODAP and you try to subscribe to it, okay, and it tells you a higher number than 23 USD, I recommend getting your VPN and just putting it somewhere else, okay? So that way you could get a better rate. So, just so you know. But again, it's 23 USD a month. You get full access and private MYC live streams. We did one just yesterday. I did upload a few fun clips about that live stream just recently. So if you're watching this video, watch the short clips that I uploaded today. They're just little clips about what I was talking about. And I'll tell you something, man, that video was pretty powerful, wasn't it? So guys, look, I do want to see you guys there, and it's just a safer place for us. No one's going to steal our data anymore. Nobody's going to mess with us anymore. We're disconnecting from that bullshit, and I'm happy that we made it here. I'm really proud of that. So guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Apple and Google ODAP. Okay. Subscribe to it, click it. And if you guys need help with anything, you could always pop into the Discord, or you could pop into my Twitter account, Instagram. I'll be there one-on-one. I know a lot of crypto companies out there leave you guys high and dry when it comes to customer support. But let me tell you who customer support is. Me. I'm customer support. So if you want to sign up to ODAP and you're having issues and stuff like that, you contact me directly. You'll be communicating with me directly, and I'll be helping you sign up. And, if you run into any kinks or issues or anything like that, just report them to me and I'll be able to fix that. And if you have ideas and things like that, share them with me. I'll be writing down a lot of different ideas I want to implement, because eventually this is going to be our economy. Okay. This is going to be our new economy. So guys, I will catch you on the next one, and I'll see you in the app. Don't forget, download ODAP, Apple, and on Google. I'll see you guys there. All right.